This week on Lips Garage, I have the introduction of another part-time project. So I'm going to do a little bit of multitasking on this video. I do apologize. My time management skills are slipping a little bit. But when my wife and I first got together, she was driving an 08 Honda CR-V. And it was a good vehicle, newest one that we had at the time. All-wheel drive, which was nice, got fairly decent fuel mileage, handled the kids okay. Ended up putting some, fairly aggressive tires on it, so I handled our winter weather okay. But it got to be the point, like especially once we got the dogs, that it was just getting a little bit crowded. It was getting up there for mileage, started needing some maintenance and stuff. So we started talking, are we going to keep this thing rolling, basically turn the repairs into a car payment, keep it going for another few years, daughters get close to driving time, or are we going to sell it while we can still get some money out of it and put it towards something new? So we went out and started looking. She wanted another SUV, kind of like the CR-V was, but the one specific that she wanted was a manual transmission and something with a little more get up and go in it. So we were taking a look at some of the things. There are not a whole lot of SUVs are coming out manual transmission any longer, unless you want to go like BMW or something like that, and not really the direction we were wanting to go. We looked at an older Subaru Forester that it didn't have the turbo in it that she was kind of looking for. It did have the manual transmission, but the thing was just a piece of junk. So we started looking around at a few other things. Went to one of our local dealerships and met a guy named Heath, was our salesman. He was really cool, did everything he could for us. We were taking a look at some of the Ford Edges. Okay, it's got the performance, didn't have the manual. We looked at some other stuff. Okay, I had the manual, didn't have the performance. It's like, all right, well, let's take a look. I'm a Ford guy, but I've been a big fan of Subaru forever, especially with their all-wheel drive system. So I had her take a look. Again, we looked at the Forester, took a look at some of the Outbacks, both the turbo 4-cylinder at the time and the 6-cylinder. I keep wanting to say V6, it's not. And she liked the performance of the V6 Outback, but she doesn't really like the concept of the station wagon, essentially. So she's like, if I'm going to drive a car, let's go look at cars. And we were at the Subaru dealership, and we were around the corner. I was going to show her some of the Imprezas and Legacies that I thought she might be happy with. And we came around the corner, we passed the WRX. This would have been 2019. And she's like, ooh, what's that? I'm like, yeah, that's more of a street car. That's, at the time, I know Subaru's got the big rally heritage, but in my opinion, the 19 body style is a little bit more of a street sport car than it was a true rally car. And she's like, I don't know, I kind of like that. So we did some looking. She took the test drive on it, liked it. Just wasn't quite ready to pull the trigger on a brand new car. So we were doing some looking around, and we did find one a couple hours away used, and we talked to the dealership there and ended up with a 2015 with about 50,000 miles on it, and they actually shipped it up to us. So we ended up signing the paperwork and got a 2015 Subaru WRX, and I believe that one was the premium. It had the electric seats, it had the sunroof. It was not the STI. She very specifically didn't want the shopping cart wing with the STI. So we ended up getting it. We went back to Heath and apologized to him. So, we found the car we were looking for. He did everything he could, so we still dropped an envelope with some cash on him. It wasn't his fault, so he still kind of got paid for his time that he spent with us. So, we felt we needed to treat him right. So we ended up getting a 2015. We had it for about 2 years, right around 2 years. Since we had it, there was one time in the winter where somebody broadsided the front end of her, broke the headlight. The headlight was a factory LED headlight, and they call them something, I don't remember offhand, but they call it something different. But it's essentially a factory LED headlight, and one headlight housing was $1,200. So I was taking a look at the aftermarket, because that's what I do, and I could get a pair of them for $1,300 that were still true LED, and it brought the sequential turn signal up into the headlight, which I thought was going to be a lot safer. You know, the other turn signal was down in the bumper, and I don't know, with the winter time, and it was kind of a slate gray color car, if that might be part of why whoever hit her hit her. So we kind of dealt with that, and we got some upgrades there. I had purchased an air intake that we never ended up getting on it. I had purchased an aftermarket brake set, drilled slotted rotors, a little bit stronger calipers we ended up not putting on there. We had another morning where she came in to my work all mad, just all mad as all get out. I'm like, I haven't seen you long enough this morning to have you be this mad at me. What? You need to come outside. So we ended up going outside, and somebody had hit her overnight. She was parked across the street from our house. There's a big dent in the driver's door, and then there is also a scuff mark in our tree, a tire mark on the curb, and a bunch of clear and red plastic around our tree. So somebody was trying to turn around in the middle of the night, hit her car, and burned out of there. So we had the 2015 for a while, and I'll throw a picture up of that, you know, towards the end, just kind of see what we had. Fast forward 2 years, and we were looking at going on Power Tour, and we had signed up with the 2015, and she drives by the Subaru dealership to go to work and back. And she had mentioned a couple times, I thought it was more, she says it was less, but she had mentioned this blue one that she had seen at the dealership. So I forgot the date, but my wife says it was on our daughter's birthday that we just decided we're going to go for a drive. And that's all it was. I just wanted to go for a drive, get out of the house for a little while, middle of summer. Let's just go for a drive. And it was literally I planned on turning left to go on some back roads out in the country, and in 10 minutes from La Crosse, you're out in the middle of nowhere. That's all I want to do, a nice, good little pleasure run. But at the last second, I decided to hang right, and we went to the dealership. So we took a look at the blue one, which was 2020. It was a year old, had 5,000 miles on it. It didn't have the sunroof, it didn't have the power seats, a couple other things, but we took it for a test drive, and she liked the way it handled. The other one, whoever had it before us had modified it a little bit, so it was a stiffer suspension, things like that, a little bit throatier exhaust that she didn't really like. It was kind of a droney exhaust, I'm not going to lie. So we ended up taking that one for a drive, and she really liked it. So we went back, and she's like, are we buying a car today? I'm like, eh. But we get back, and I'm talking with the salesman, and car salesmen hate me because you can't sell me on anything. I know what I want, and I'll pay for what I want, but you're not going to talk me into something I didn't come in to buy. So that's just the way I am. You know, being a car guy and being in sales most of my life, that's just, I know the tricks. You know, we're going to stop it right now. So, you know, I'd said, you know, what would throw some numbers out, what would be the trade value of ours, and what's the best number you can give us on this one? He's like, well, what do you want? I said, don't worry about it. What's the best trade value? Because that's another one. No, we'll pay off the loan. I knew there was some value in it because we put a pretty hefty down payment on it and stuff. So he came by with what their offer was, and I had a number in my head as to what I would take, and they came back with $1,500 over what my lowest was, and it was right in the heart of COVID, and you know, people are short on cars, stuff like that. So, you know, we kind of talked about it, and it changed the payment a little bit, and put us back out to 5 years. But ultimately, we got a car that was 5 years newer, 50,000 miles less on it, no body damage, didn't have to replace the tires, and it was just all in all a better car. So kind of the way everything laid out, we ended up getting it. So this one is the 2020 Subaru WRX. It still has the 2-liter turbocharged. It still has the 6-speed manual transmission. Personally, I do like the color better. I've always really liked this blue. And again, this is from the other video. I got a very similar one in the 02 that I've been doing some work on. So I've done a few things to this. The first one is the LED headlights, and I do have the ones that have the turn signals up in the headlight housing. The big reason for that, let me get them activated. So I can figure out what I did with the key, just a moment. So from the factory, that's the only turn signal that they have. And depending on how you're driving and what you're driving, that's really hard, or really easy, I should say, to not notice. So the aftermarket one does bring the signal up, not only being the moving signal, but being higher up is a lot easier to see for folks that are coming up. So the 2015, the wife did get hit not long after she had gotten it. It was winter time. I'm gonna say, other than the guy just being a jackwagon, may not have seen that she had the signal on when she came across. So I did upgrade those. We did put the fog lights in. I don't have those wired up yet, and I do have the headlights wired a little bit wrong. So the daytime running lights are actually the high beam. So I have to get back in here and take that apart. The other thing that I did, this is actually a part that I bought for the 2015 that didn't get installed. If you can kind of see through that gap there, I did take the factory air intake out and put this guy in. When I pull the front bumper off to redo the lights, I will get that apart and cleaned as well. Other than that, under the hood, just doing basic maintenance. We did install a set of aftermarket brakes with the drilled and slotted. Again, I'd gotten these for the 2015, both front and rear. Never got around to installing them. So we put them onto this one. They were the same fitment. On the inside, about the only thing really did was a little bit of dress up things. Some of them we've actually missed. I know one time when I cleaned it out, I sucked one into the vacuum cleaner. This one does come with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and it's got a really good backup camera. I was considering changing the radio out when we had the other one, but this one does really well. Might add subwoofers or something. The other thing that we did was upgraded the wheels and tires. She had gotten a flat tire, and instead of just replacing one tire, we went ahead and upgraded to the 18-inch for summer, and then the other rims that she has will probably put a set of snow tires on. You know, for being into December, we're not too bad, but when we get a little worse weather, give a little better traction. The other thing that I've done is, and this spot down here is normally just a plug, I do have a brake light and a reverse light hooked up there to give a little better visibility when you're backing up. So that does actually work really well. The other things we're talking about doing is an upgraded exhaust, a tune, and potentially a better downpipe that's supposed to give it some pretty good flow. So this one here, I was originally going to call the Tardis because of the color, and my other right is the Tardis. Since then, the daughter has really gotten into Star Wars Clone Wars, and being a WRX, they have started calling it Rexy, based off of one of the clone characters, Rex. So kind of a couple of different identity crises with this guy. So again, a little bit different from the normal stuff that I work on, being the older domestic. So these things have their own unique issues to them. The Boxer engines I don't have a whole lot of experience with. The types of differentials in this thing are a little bit different with the all-wheel drive and the manual transmission. So the type of aftermarket upgrades that work on these versus, again, something rear-wheel drive or whatnot. So definitely a learning curve. We want to keep it streetable. That's the idea, to be an everyday, but it is something to kind of have some fun with. Again, I did take it down the track. The best time I had was 15.1, and the best speed I had was 95. Again, I'd never done an actual drag race with a tree before, so a lot of improvement if I decide to keep doing it. But kind of gives a good baseline for what we've got, and it's just a overall fun little car to drive. We are talking about adding heated seats to it, possibly remote start, you know, some things down the road there. But all in all, for the 2 years that we've had it, put about 20,000 miles on it, it's been a really good car for what it is. So That's going to wrap up for this one. Kind of shorter video than what I normally have, especially with the holiday season. It is New Year's Eve. By the time I post this, will be New Year's Day. So Happy New Year to everybody. Hope the next year coming up is good for everyone. You know, good health and good prospects. As always, I do appreciate everybody that logs in and watches these. Feel free to leave a like, subscribe, a comment. Again, if there's anything that you want to see, if there's any questions that you would like, you know, what have I done? What do I plan on doing? How you would do things different? Again, always drop them below and I will respond to whatever I can when I can. So until next time, as always, I appreciate everybody tuning in. Thanks.